So where to start? What should I tell about Half-Life that wasn't already said? Half-Life is a game that cemented itself into the core of almost every FPS game we know today. What Doom and Wolfenstein started, Half-Life perfected it almost every way. Half-Life is probably one of the games where the gamer community will unanimously agree that it's one of the best FPS shooters ever made. And with this video I will show you some innovations and things Half-Life brought on the table when it was published. So stay tuned. And I will probably review Half-Life 1 DLCs, the PlayStation 2 port, and Half-Life 2 of course. So before we start, make sure you hit that like and sub button, and with that out of the way, let's start with this video. In 1998, Valve published its masterpiece who conquered the world with its popularity. If you didn't know, Valve, or better to say Gabe Newell, was responsible for a small platform you may be heard of, and maybe using it. It's called Steam. Yeah, that's Steam. Some will say, oh my god Redbeard, do you really need to review yet again an old game from the dinosaur era? The short answer is, yes, I do. Because, well, let's see, you know the game Valorant, okay? Yeah, it's basically made on a version of Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and which was a remake of Counter-Strike Source. What was made on the Half-Life Source engine? What was basically Half-Life to begin with? And of course, Half-Life was made on a modified Quake engine, what was based on Doom and Wolfenstein. So yeah, they are somehow related, and many players, especially the younger, don't know the history of some games. And that's one of the reasons I made this channel, to teach a few history lessons about gaming and to review games that are not so common or popular in the game industry. The beginning starts simple, as Gordon Freeman travels by train to the Black Mesa facility. The whole ride is narrated by a woman's voice telling about the Black Mesa.
8:47 a.m. Current topside temperature is 93 degrees, with an estimated high.
As her sweet voice is followed by the ominous music and industrial sounds, you will see rockets, helicopters. Who is this guy? Yeah, probably no one important. And you will see some toxic waste. And how the hell did the scientists get into the lab without any doors? Wait a minute, Black Mesa is in New Mexico, and in New Mexico in 1947 was a UFO crash in Roswell. Does that mean? Half-Life did until that point that no other shooting game did, and that's to restrain the player from shooting. Whoa. The 90s had this fine quote. And I'm so happy this is so away from the truth now. If we mention the granddaddies of shooters, we need to mention the holy trio, and that's Doom, Wolfenstein, and my man Duke Nukem. Every of those games didn't start with a cutscene. Except Duke Nukem, where he's mentioning he's gonna kick some alien ass and chew bubblegum or something. Well, we need to start somewhere. Half-Life throws you at the beginning on a long ass train ride where if you have attention disorder it can be a bit of a problem. So, as you arrive at the end of the station, you're greeted by this half-brain security man. Do you ask me why half-brain? He's actually imitating the sound of the button.
Okay people, move along, there's nothing to see here.
The train ride gives you a small indication of what Black Mesa is and what's happening inside. As the doors open, you are welcomed by the science team, and it looks like your standard day at work. You will shut off lights in the middle of a conversation.
Aren't you supposed to be in the test
My
chamber?
God, what are you doing?
F with the security system.
My God, what are you doing? Come on, Gordon. You trying to get me into trouble?
And after seeing your best buddy as he microwaves his food, you crank up that bitch up to 11.
My God, what are you doing?
As I expected.
Well, all standard things you will do every day. And the most iconic part ever, picking up the famous hazard suit. I wanna also mention that I don't have any nostalgic memories of this game whatsoever. The first time I played this game was for this review. I played Half-Life 2 at the time it was coming out, but only episode 1 and 2, and I played the shit after them. But the first Half-Life, nope. So it will be a direct review on how the game aged. And immediately to say, Half-Life 1 aged like fine wine. Or like this little hobbit dude. So let's get back on the track. After picking up the suit, you see little hints that something is going wrong. From equipment exploding, from your coworkers not giving you exact full information of things about to happen.
Yet.
And potentially the most unstable.
Now, if you follow standard insertion procedures, everything will be fine.
I don't know how you can say that, although I will admit that the possibility of a resonance cascade scenario is extremely unlikely.
Gordon doesn't need to hear all this. He's a highly trained professional.
So what's your objective? Well, push this cart into this beam. Sounds easy. Hope something bad doesn't happen. Where the hell am I? I knew it. Aliens. Oh no, I saw what you guys did to Cartman. Go away from me.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
After that, you see the aftermath of what happened. Dead scientists, zombies, alien chickens. The game shares the chaos with the player without interrupting the gameplay. That are the segments that create the immersive experiments. Where the newer games force you to watch a certain scenes and take control away, in Half-Life, things just happen, and that gives the whole game a bit of a realism. The game also doesn't have any objective marks or arrows to point you where you need to go. The game respects the player and gives them full freedom. What I found also good is that Gordon Freeman isn't a superhero or a dragonborn or something. He's just a simple guy who got caught in a huge mess and he must take action. So the first thing you need to do after the whole things go crazy is to find a weapon. And the first weapon you encounter is the famous crowbar. The game is also keeping you on the edge with every step you take, because the monsters will spawn everywhere and you will never know where to expect them. As you fight your way through the Crowbar Simulator, I mean Half-Life, you will also gather your standard weapons like pistols, shotguns, machine guns, but also experimental weapons. Plus alien technology, from a hand of an alien that's shooting homing bees, I guess, and freaking bugs. Yeah, you can harass people with bugs in this game. What is also a great addition to the game that almost every weapon has alternative firing mode. It isn't somehow something fancy, but it mixes up the combat, and I wish some newer games have the same option. It doesn't need to be something fancy. Like an example, the piston can be used one shot per click or a semi-automatic, so you can use the weapon for a precise shot or at a close range when you get surprised by the enemies. Crowbar Simulator is a mix of shooter, puzzle and platform game. Where it doesn't sound so good at paper, Valve did manage to pull it off. And the game combines everything really good. First, the train ride is your story introduction to the game. Then you will need to platform your way to the first weapon. Have some classic FPS action segments, and then solve some small puzzles, and later in the game a few segments are merged together, and not one of them doesn't overstay its welcome in my opinion. The puzzles aren't too complicated, just common sense things, and it's easy to get a grasp of what you need to do. The only bad thing is the movement itself. Gordon is a bit fast on his feet, and I feel like I'm walking on ice. Or I had that feeling, not that I was sliding, but somehow weird. But not a deal breaker. And you will do a special 90s thing that maybe some of you remember, and that's crouch jumping. You will need a bit of practice to pull it off good. But hey, we are still talking about a 20-year-old game. The later Xen levels were a bit weird to navigate, but they were a hell of a trip. And after just playing the second part, it was a whole different experience to be in an alien world. What many think is the lowest point of Half-Life 1, I enjoyed to some bit, and I find it mysterious and odd. But where the game shines is the shooting. To not ramble about how every weapon is unique and how every encounter can be different, I will just say the difficulty is right where it should be, and you will always feel in control. And not a single time you will die and it seems it was unfair. and that's a rare thing to accomplish. So, to tackle the story, it starts off pretty simple, but it's getting complicated with every minute you play. When the whole mess started, you will be questioning yourself, what would happen if I didn't push that card?
Did I do that?
How the aliens are coming? And the game gives you just small puzzle pieces of the story, and everything else is your imagination. But after fighting your way through the zombies and headcrabs, you will see the Marines and finally say to yourself, we are rescued. But the Marines kill your co-workers and you think yourself, well shit, something isn't right. Well, now you're fighting the aliens and the Marines, and they are also fighting each other. And at one point the whole objective of the Marines is to kill Freeman. And if it sounds confusing, add Black Ops to the equation, who want to kill everyone. As you're trying to not lose your head, you got captured by the enemies. But you're a smart boy and you escape and reunite with your friend the Crowbar. You platform your way through some weird places, what lets you really clueless what's happening there, and then you reach a part of the laboratory what makes question you everything even more. They had captured aliens and they were experimenting on them. Now you're second guessing the company you work for. Why did they capture them? Are the aliens coming to rescue them? And that's just how the story engaging is. After you try to launch one of the rockets you saw at the beginning of the game to shut the portal down, but after you attempt, you don't succeed and the monsters are spawning yet again. Then you discover from a small group of scientists that a mighty creature is still holding the connection to the portal. So you take your crowbar and you jump to the portal to make a stop to the invasion. Now you got your suit upgraded and it's yet again a mix of crouch jumping. But instead now imagine having a rocket between your butt cheeks installed and it launches you in the direction you look. As we enter Xen, what looks like best to be described as a psychedelic trip, you fight your way through all kinds of monsters and the mother of all headcrabs. But as you fight your way through, you will see something that will caught your attention, and that's the fact you will encounter dead bodies from other people who were also in the Xen. And you're left clueless. Why were they there? What they are trying to accomplish? What was the end goal? But after facing the end boss and beating him, you thought to yourself, it is all done. But the G-Man knocks on the door. Yes, the silent man who stalks you through the whole game gives you an end choice.
Gordon Freeman in the flesh, or rather in the hazard suit. I have recommended your services to my employers, and they have authorized me to offer you a job. They agree with me that you have limitless potential.
To work for him or reject him where he sends you to your death. And the only thing you can do is work for him. And the end screen is simple. Gordon Freeman, status hired. What left many fans clueless for many years. Who was the G-Man? Why did the aliens invade Black Mesa? And so on and so on. Valve made simply put a masterpiece, and it's easily see why did they land a huge success with this game. With an immersive story, great shooting and good platform and puzzle segments, it is a hell of a ride still today. And for the outdated graphic there is also a fix, because the game has so many fan modes you can play Half-Life 1 with ray tracing. Or to play the remake/remix Black Mesa. What was also a fan-made mod at one point at a time, but now is a full-fledged Steam release. It is easily seen how Half-Life blew people's heads back in the day, and how it spreads its DNA on almost every FPS game today. Half-Life deserves every praise it gets, and it deserves a place in the Hall of Fame without thinking twice about it. Oh my god, I almost forgot something. Hey Gabe, so Half-Life 3, is it coming this millennium out or not? Hope you liked my review on Half-Life, and I also wanna hear your first encounter with Half-Life. Tell me all about it in the comment section. Make sure you hit that like and sub button, stay safe and take care. See you in the next video. Bye!